Hey, if you know anything about revenue share or profit share companies in real estate, then you've probably also run into this thing called sponsorship. Now, today in our video, we're going to be breaking down something that's pretty new to the industry, but it's called a dual sponsorship. And I'm going to be breaking down exactly what that is, why it's important, and how you can actually benefit from dual sponsorship as it exists inside some of these brokerage. So let's jump right in. Now, before we jump in, again, Isacc Guzman with Real Estate CEOs powered by LPT Realty. I'm always here to give you the best, most relevant information on how to grow your real estate business, whether that's generating more leads, converting them, building your real estate team, and also learning about different business models, whether it's teams or brokerages. Always here to help answer any questions. And for a better part of a decade, that's all I've been focused on is growing brokerages and teams and helping agents maximize their earnings in real estate. So without any further ado, let's jump right into what the heck is dual sponsorship and why it matters now. Okay, so a quick history and a breakdown on sponsorship in general. So if you're part of a revenue share or profit share company, what happens is, without getting too deep into it, I have other videos that do break it down. So if you want to learn more about what revenue share is, what the difference between profit and revenue share are, well, then you can go ahead and check out those videos on the channel. But in general, the breakdown is when you attract somebody into a given brokerage, they have a structure where when that person closes a deal and pays the broker then turns around and says, hey, here's a little piece of what I earned back to you for helping me grow the brokerage. So that's in a nutshell what it is to have revenue share or profit share. So what happens though is that it's important to figure out, well, who gets paid? And it's somebody called a sponsor. And so a sponsor is that attracting agent, the recruiting agent. So if you come and join LPT, you name me as your sponsor, I'd be the person that when you close a deal and pay LPT Realty, they'll cut me a little bit of the commission that they made. They don't take it out of your pocket. It doesn't come from you to me. It goes to them, and then they say, okay, a portion of that is now owed to Isaac because he helped us grow the brokerage, and that's an incentive to continue to grow the brokerage with us. So when you name a sponsor, though, traditionally and at most brokerages, you get to name one sponsor. And what that does is that creates an incentive for that person to help you and to see you succeed and to continue doing things like recruiting agents into the brokerage. Makes sense. Where it can become problematic is when you might know more than one person inside that brokerage, or when they have put a lot of work in and then you go ahead and select somebody that's local. Maybe you found somebody on YouTube and you end up using them as your sponsor, or you found somebody local and you use them as your sponsor when this other person was the one who exposed you to the idea and feels maybe somewhat entitled to getting that sponsorship spot, or they would like you to choose them as your sponsor because you know them, or whatever other 1,000 reasons that you can come up with. The reality is it creates a lot of tension. And I know that in real life because it happened with me. I was at a former brokerage, EXP, and they only allow for one sponsor. And again, that's totally normal. There's nothing bad or wrong about that. It's just the way the industry's always been. And so what happens is there's times where I'm like, hey, are you interested in joining EXP? And they're like, yeah, I've actually heard a lot of good things and blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, but I also know this other person. And what can you offer me? And why would I choose you as a sponsor? And then now I got to get into this whole pitch about like how I'm going to help them and all these things. And don't get me wrong, that's very much a thing that I do for any partner with me at LPT. I want to help. I want to contribute in any way I can. But it becomes this kind of sales process, and it stops becoming about the benefits of the brokerage and it starts becoming about who can promise the most. By the way, I mean promise the most, not necessarily deliver the most, but who's better at promising stuff for the potential recruit. So here's the reality though. The hard part about that is it creates this tension in relationships. People feel slighted, and then people start building up their own little kingdoms inside the brokerage. And so that's a really big issue because it creates a lot more toxicity than it probably does harmony. Here's one way that you can approach that. The things that LPT has done, they've done two very specific things. One is dual sponsorship. The thing about dual sponsorship is they allow you to name up to two people. So what happens is in dual sponsorship, I would go and say, hey, you know what? I like you and I think you can help me grow my business. I like you and I think you can help me grow my business, or I just happen to like you and you're a good friend of mine. Well, let me just name both of you guys. And that way you can both get the credit for that. Now, how the financials work at LPT is me and somebody else maybe are sponsoring you as the watcher. I'm just going to use you as the example. Me and another agent are going to sponsor you. Well, when the revenue share comes in and it's ready to get paid out, I would get paid 45% of the revenue share. The other person would get paid 45% of the revenue share, and that 10% that's left over goes to the company. I love that model, and so does the company, because they get 10% of that revenue share that would have otherwise been paid out to help facilitate this, because it's not easy. It's pretty complex math behind all this as you start building. And I love that because I believe in this company. I believe in having a company that has sustainable business models and financial plans. So for me, I love the fact that that 10% goes there, but that's how the economics of it work. And now you as the sponsee have two people who have a vested interest in your success. So it's really great. Now, I wouldn't actually go out of my way to go find a second sponsor. Like, let's say you met me and you're like, I think Isaac would be great. I love LPT. Let's just go ahead and move forward. I wouldn't pump the brakes and go, hey, let me go find a random other person to include in this. But it is great that if you're in that decision-making point, you have the opportunity. And so dual sponsorship has been amazing for me. I love partnering with people. And if you're an LPT agent already who would see value in partnering with me, feel encouraged to reach out. Maybe you and I can work together on dually sponsoring somebody else, right? So this is a really great way to, instead of building our own little kingdoms, it actually brings people together inside the organization. And so now I'm a de facto business partner with the person that I dual sponsored with. So that is so refreshing, and it solves a lot of problems. And so that's what dual sponsorship is. And LPT is one of the first and only companies that has it. And so it's an amazing opportunity. And there's a lot of other things you can go on with that, creating infinite downlines and all this weird abstract stuff. But here's what I can tell you. It's really great for the agents. It's great to help people partner and see eye to eye. And what's great about that is, as a shareholder in LPT and other shareholders, when we win as a whole, we all win, because that helps the value of the company overall, and we want to see it all win. So especially somebody who has pre-IPO stock, because LPT hasn't gone publicly yet, it's amazing, and I want to see it grow in any way I can. So if that means cutting down some of the revenue share by dually sponsoring people, but we get to get great people inside the organization that overall increase the value of the organization, I'm all for it. So there you have it. That's what dual sponsorship is. And if you have any questions, or you want to learn a little bit more about how you can partner with me, whether it's a single sponsorship, dual sponsorship, growing your business, crushing it on video, recruiting to your team or brokerage, building a downline at your brokerage, feel encouraged. Go in the description below. There is a link where you can book one-on-one time with me, and I'll break down exactly how I can come alongside and partner with you. Until next time, happy selling.